Hello and welcome to another Mission Models video installment. We do everything here on the fly, nothing scripted. Today we're going to show the workflow of using Mission Models Primer, Mission Models Paint, using the Mission Models Poly Mix Additive, thinner, cleaning the airbrush, and we'll be using two different airbrushes today. The Harder-Steenbeck Evolution with a 0.2 needle nozzle, and we'll be using the Harder-Steenbeck Infinity using a 0.15 needle nozzle. So let's get started. All right, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take this Revell Germany 32nd scale BF109 G series. Okay, it's obviously just a half a fuselage because that's all we need for the demonstration, and we're going to prime it. So we're going to take the Mission Models MMS 003 gray primer, and as per our instructions and tech support, we are going to add 40 drops, 30 to 40 drops of primer, and we've got the Mission Models thinner. This is the 4-ounce thinner MMA 003. All right. So what we're going to do in a 1-ounce epoxy mixing cup, which we like to use and highly recommend them, it's just easy for mixing and measuring and so forth. We're going to add about 6 drops of thinner, and we're just going to mechanically stir it up. The thinner is what activates our primer, makes it work the way it does. So you can see the consistency. Next, we're going to take our Harder-Steenbeck Evolution with a 0.2. Now, we know that people have all sorts of different airbrushes. It really doesn't matter what kind you have. But again, we're using a 0.2, but you can use 0.3, 0.35, 0.4. It really doesn't matter. We just happen to be using these. We've got our hose. We like to use a MAC valve here, micro air control valve, so we can adjust our air pressure at the hose. We set our compressor at about 20 psi, and we crack the valve open and typically spray between 10 and 15 psi. Mission Models paints and primers are designed to spray at a lower psi. We like to remove the crown cap or the air cap. And this goes for all airbrushes, because a lot of times what can happen is paint can build up inside the crown cap, and when it builds up inside there, eventually with that buildup, the air can start throwing droplets out of the crown cap and then end up on your model. When you spray without a crown cap, your needle, which you probably can't see here in the video, will be exposed, so you want to be careful not to drag the needle across the work or across a piece of paper, because you will bend it. Okay, so take our airbrush, we've got our primer, we're just going to pour it in here. Okay? What I like to do is just close the MAC valve, right, all the way. Got zero air, there's no paint coming through. I'm going to crack it open, always test. All right, that's open about a quarter, give or take, and now we're just going to prime. You always want to spray about 2 to 3 inches away from the work, a nice, even, methodical passes, okay? Just like that. Nice, light, wet coats. See how it's kind of shiny there? That's a light, wet coat. Our primers will dry. They will not hide any details. They'll dry like a second skin, nice and durable. So, any spots that we missed, we'll hit those. All right, that's all there is to it. That's covered. Look at all that primer, okay? Look at all this primer we still have. You can mix less if you want. We just like a starting point of 30 to 40 drops of primer or paint, because it kind of gives you something to work with. However, we still have wings, we have the other half of the fuselage. You know, there's a lot of parts. This primer will last a long time, so you could, in theory, prime all your parts with the rest of this. Oh, hey, I didn't see it there. Let's have a nice little cup of coffee. And we're back here with our model. Again, this is a 32nd scale Revell Germany BF109 G6. We've just primed half this fuselage. You can see the nice smooth eggshell finish. We've let this naturally dry. We sprayed it on again in light wet coats between, I don't know, maybe 10 and 15 psi. and by applying in light wet coats, you'll get that nice eggshell finish, nice and smooth. We can, in theory, if you needed to, you can go in and dry sand this. You can do anything you want with it. All right, so the next step is we are going to spray MMP number 51 RLM 76. Again, we're going to use our Harder Steenbeck Evolution with a 0.2. All right, so let's get going here. Nice and quick. We'll be adding the polyurethane mix additive to it and some thinner. So again, as per our instructions, we give you a basic starting point. Okay, so let's say 30 drops of paint. And you can go 40 if you need to, but 30 drops of paint. And we've got our thinner, MMA 003. This is the 4 ounce. There's also an MMA 002, which is 2 ounce. All right, and we're gonna add about 6 drops of thinner. All right, so there's your consistency. Our thinner is technically a very high-end reducer, but we just call it thinner, and it'll break the paint down very, very fast. There's no shelf life on the paint. We don't pre-thin anything. That way there's no inconsistencies or paint that's kicked over prematurely. Now we've got our Mission Models MMA 001 polyurethane mix additive. Okay, what the mix additive does is it increases your durability and adhesion properties. You can use, it's optional, you don't have to use it. We put it into everything that we spray. So I'm gonna add, we've got 30 drops of paint, we've got about 6 drops of thinner. Now I'm gonna add 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, okay. Paint is very, very forgiving. Even though we say 6 drops, let's say you have 30 drops of paint, you can go up to 12 drops of poly. It's not gonna hurt anything. But like I said, we give you a nice starting point. All right, so there's our consistency. Again, same exact airbrush. I'm gonna close the MAC valve, open it back up. About a quarter of a turn. All right, always test before you shoot your model. Okay, make sure your spray pattern's good. Make sure there's no residual thinner or water in the chamber of the airbrush. Just because it looks clean in the cavity, you want to make sure that you have nothing extra in the chamber. All right, so ready? Here we go. Again, same principle. Nice light wet coats, about 2 to 3 inches from the work. Some nice broad coverage. So again, nice lightweight coats, methodical passes. This is for broad coverage because we're just getting a base there. All right. Again, you can see the light wet coats. And again, we're just going kind of quick. All right, so we're out of paint there. With the amount of paint that we've got left over, you can still spray the other half of the fuselage and various other parts. This is pretty much an underside color, so whatever it is that you need to do. So now what we're going to do is we're going to clean the airbrush again. Let's show you how quickly we can clean the airbrush. So let's get over here to the cleaning station. All right, again, we've got our spray bottle. Nice and quick. Okay, basically got the bulk of it out of there. That's just water. Okay, there's just a Q-tip. Just kind of got anything out of the edges there. So we've got the bulk of it out. Now again, we'll take thinner, just in the chamber there, kind of swirl it around. Just a few drops in there, that's all it really is. This thinner will go a long way. Spray a little through. Clean. That's it, needle's clean. Try and get rid of any residual water or thinner that's in there. That's it. Let's go to the next color. All right, so we've basically cleaned our airbrush, and now we're going to move on and we're going to spray some RLM 74 Grau-Grun. Okay, that's number MMP 048. Now remember, this demonstration is not about accuracy and meaning an accurate paint scheme. We have some reference that's sort of, out of the frame here that will loosely follow. What we're going to do is we're going to this time use the Infinity, or the Harder Steenbeck Infinity, with a .15 needle nozzle. That's about as fine as you can get. And again, we've got our hose with our MAC valve. All right, so before we start spraying, we're going to mix the paint, and we'll bring the airbrush back here in a second. So basically 30 drops of paint. All right, there's 30 drops of paint. Thinner, we're going to add 6 drops, 7 drops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, mechanically stir it up. That's all you got to do. Poly, MMA 001 poly. I'm going to add 6 drops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and let's just put one more, 7. Okay. Stir it up. That's all there is to it. That's all you got to do. All right. Just make sure everything's sort of emulsified in there, thoroughly mixed. You can take a mixing stick, stir it up a bit. It's fine. We've got our airbrush here. All right. We're going to close the MAC valve as we discussed before. We're going to remove the crown cap. Okay, remember, here's the crown cap. This is the style that Harder Steenbeck gives you. Just pull it right off. Remember, now your needle's exposed. If you drag the needle across the work or the piece of paper while you're testing or painting, you will bend the needle. So please be cautious. If you're not comfortable removing the crown cap while spraying, just leave it on. Got our paint. Right into the cavity there. All right, and we're going to crack it open just a little bit. Let's just test first. We have a little bit of residual water and thinner in there, so we'll spray that through. All right. Let's test it. Dots. Make sure you're happy with your spray pattern. If your needle is bent at all, you will get overspray. A bent needle or a damaged nozzle will give you problems. It'll give you overspray and potential clogging, okay? So always make sure that your needle and your nozzle are in good shape, okay? So, again, one more quick test before we actually get to the model. I'm gonna adjust that just a little bit more, add a little bit more air pressure. Nice and clean. So let's go. Let's apply your air first. As we pull back, we get a wider spray pattern. All right, now when you go from paper, which is absorbent, to your model, which has a slick surface, you may have the paint may hit the model slightly different, so you may have to just adjust your air pressure. This is a .15. For those of you that use microns, those are .18 and .23. Virtually no overspray. Now we're on an angle, so we may get a little bit. I'm on an angle so I don't block the view. Okay. Now we're going to bring it down here. I'm going to just give one more little test. I'm going to turn down my air pressure at the MAC valve just a little bit more. Always going to want to adjust as needed. Start spraying off the model. Build up in layers. Come back in. Again, I'm in somewhat of an awkward position here. See if I can. I like to support the airbrush with my finger here. Airbrushing is all about speed, distance, air pressure. Kind of like photography. With photography, you are painting with light. With airbrushing, you're obviously painting with air, speed, and distance. So we're gonna let that dry. Now, show you. See how fine we can go? Keep going. Move in a little bit. Just keep going. No clogging. We're letting our model dry out of frame. Let's do some dots. Now, if you hit the trigger, right, and you see a little bit of paint coming off, and a little bit of paint comes off your tip, just take a Q-tip and just very carefully just wipe any paint. That's a little bit of residual on there. It's not clogging, but basically what's happening is air is coming out. If you've got there's a double action, so if your trigger is forward and you press down, you get air, right? When you pull back, you get paint. But if you have a little bit of paint on your needle here, right? When that air comes through, even though there's no paint coming through, the air will blow off any residual paint that might be on the needle. So if you're in doubt, you can just kind of wipe that off, right? So here's our plane again. It's in you can already see that it's drying. So again, one more little test, and we'll just go in and again, I'm not right over the work like you would normally be. I'm at a pretty extreme angle here just for the video demonstration. All right, it's pretty good. Let's take a look at that reference there. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring it down just a little bit further. Yeah. Yeah. All right. So we're going to let this dry. I see a little void there. You can go in there. All this paint will self-level. So nice, beautiful, durable finish. You should have a nice little eggshell sheen to it. You can already kind of see it there where it's drying. Let's clean the airbrush. Same methods as before. Got our spray bottle, pure water. Always recommend cleaning the airbrush between every color change right away. I'm going to open up the MAC valve. I'm going to open up the preset handle. Okay, so I get a nice, powerful stream of air coming through just for cleaning. Don't forget, we've removed our crown cap, so be cautious of your needle. I'm just going to wipe out any, extra around there. Okay. You can hear there's nothing coming through, but there is still water. There is still residual in there. Always remember that. A little bit of thinner, swirl it around. It's just drops. See? Essentially, that's just a cavity it's worth. All right. Spray a little through. Now if I take this piece of paper here, show you, that's clean. That's all there is to it. No alcohol, no lacquer thinner, no windshield wiper fluid, no universal thinners. It's not necessary at all. So all you gotta do, water, and then follow up with a few drops of Mission Models thinner just to flush the water out and to get rid of any residual paint. And if you're in doubt, you can just take a Q-tip, wipe that out, make sure there's no lint or cotton strands from the Q-tip, and that's all there is to it. So the next color will be a gray, and we'll continue on to the 109. All right, let's do that. And we're back. So what we've done so far, gray primer, RLM 76. We sprayed our RLM 74, and we're going to move on to RLM 75 Grau Violet. Okay, we used a Harder and Steenbeck Infinity with a .15 needle and nozzle. So now again we are going to add RLM 75 using the same airbrush. Again, we've replaced the crown cap just so we didn't damage the needle by accident. Just in passing, we're going to remove it. All right, now we're going to mix the paint again. Okay, same method as before, but we'll do it again. Shake it up. You can use a glass marble in here, and we're going to do 30 drops of paint in a 1 ounce mixing cup. Okay, thinner, 6 drops, 7 drops, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Good measure. Paint is very, very forgiving. Poly, we're gonna go about 6, 7 drops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. Just stir it up there. We like to just kind of swirl it like this, but again, like I said earlier, you can just take a mixing stick or whatever and do that. All right. Airbrush, Mac valve, close it. Okay, there's no air coming through. No air, no paint. We like the epoxy mixing cups also because you can squeeze them and you can just put in as much paint as you need. Gonna crack it open 1/4 of the way as a starting basis, just to see where you can see that we have a little bit of thinner and whatnot in there. So we've cleared that out with paint. Doing some little test shots, right? Okay. I'm going to close this just a tad, just because. Everybody's airbrush is different. We're using this to show you how paint can be sprayed through ultra fine airbrushes. All right. Always start off the work. And we're going to start with the front part of the cowl. Now we've got some reference that's sort of off the screen here. Sort of on an angle here, so again, it's a little bit hard. When you spray on an angle, you can end up with a little bit of overspray on your adjacent colors because of the angle. But in the previous video, we realized that we kind of blocked the shot and it was hard to see, so we're trying to go from a different angle this time. And everything we do here is on the fly, unscripted. If you see a mistake, it's as it happens. And again, it's not about accuracy, it's just about using the paint and the workflow. Okay, let's see if we can't get in here. All right, putting the airbrush down. This paint's wet, I don't want to get my thumb in there somehow or another. Okay, just quick one more quick little test, make sure our pattern is good. Hope we don't blow the model off the table. Let's start here. It's all about your speed and your distance. Don't necessarily try and cover everything in one pass. Okay, so there's basically no overspray. All right, so we're gonna move along. It's a very precarious setup here. It could roll right away anytime. One more test. And we're gonna start. Let's see. Sometimes they have a gray spot up here. And you can see, because all the paint is triple pigmented, get a little in here, right? Bring it down a bit. Nice straight, clean needle and nozzle setup. Before you get to your next one, test again. So let's get a little bit of I'm going to start down on this end, so hopefully you can see it as I all right. Let's prop that up a bit. I know it's going to move. All right. That out of the way. Again, I'm on an angle, so probably get a little overspray there. Down a little bit here. Okay, just double check, all right. And this is what I like to call sort of the adolescent stage, because, you know, it's only kind of just coming together. You haven't done any weathering, add any additional colors in there. Getting there nice and tight. Yeah, it's starting to look good. Okay, so now watch this. We're gonna do a quick color change. Let's open that up a bit. Clean. Okay, we're gonna now let's move back to the work. Hopefully we have a little bit of green here somewhere. All right, this has been sitting out for a minute, so again, let's quickly mix up a little bit of green. Okay. Now this is to show you how you can pretty much eyeball it once you're used to it, right? Very quick, very, very easy. You'll know just by looking, right? All right. We've closed the MAC valve. We're gonna take our paint, our green, put it back in a little bit in there. Again, we're gonna crack it open about a quarter of the way. You'll see we're gonna have some residue in there. See how it's a little spider webby and whatnot? And as we flush that through, the paint goes back to the way it should be. That's because we had extra fluid and residue in the chamber here that was hanging out and sprays through with the paint. So let's just test. Okay, look at that. Nothing complex. Very easy. Okay. Go in here, spray off the work. One more test. Add some contrasting colors. When in doubt. Okay, so it looks like we've got a little bit of residue on there. Okay. There we go. It's green, Graugrun. What was that? Sorry. That's Grauvalia. So that's RLM 74. Get a little in here, and I'm on an angle so you can see. You know, think about it as these planes, camouflage and whatnot is pretty awesome. All right. See, that's all right, just a tad. That's pretty good, I think. Just get a little more right here. No clogging. See, watch. All right, let's clean out the airbrush. I know we've already shown this, sometimes just being repetitive. It's the way to go. And we've done a few colors here, so I'm just for good measure, just gonna kind of wipe a little bit out. A little thinner. Open up the mag valve, go wide open. Clean. Right? Now, if you're gonna wipe down your airbrush, you see we've got the needle sticking out here. Let's put the crown cap back on because you will bend it, guaranteed, if you don't protect it. Be careful, always clean your tools. A clean airbrush is a happy airbrush, a happy modeler, and you should not have any types of issues. Okay, that's clean. So what we're going to do now is we are going to spray some yellow, just a little bit on the front end of the cowling. All right. Okay, so we've sprayed our yellow. It's really not dry. You can see how it's shiny and it's still kind of wet, but it's drying. And we're just going to kind of we're going to just continue to go. But the paint is actually in process of drying. Okay. So we're going to move forward. What we're going to do is we're going to get rid of this so we don't have any accidents. Wet paint, we'll start with the new, fresh, clean work area here. And a lot of times when I do this type of work here, modeling and so forth, I like to go back with the base color and just kind of get in there and maybe just clean things up, carve it out a little bit, you know, just muck around a bit. So what I've done is I've added some of our RLM 76 back into the airbrush. Again, we're using the Infinity with a 0.15. We cleaned the yellow out real quick off camera, and so I'm just going to test. I've closed the MAC valve. I'm going to crack it back open just a bit and get a little test shot here, just to make sure that the spray pattern is good and that I'm happy with it. The paint is consistent. before I go back to the model. So now I'm going to go back in here and just add, just a little bit of, just very carefully, just some RLM 76. Maybe just create some separation, maybe refine some things a little bit here and there for the fun of it. Because the paint is triple pigmented, it will cover a lot of these areas very quickly. Get some refinement. It's very subtle. You may not see anything happening, but believe me, it is. I feel like I'm a little bit concentrated up here in some of the grays. And just kind of clean it up a bit. And again, I'm on an angle, and an extreme angle, just so you guys can see. Typically, I'd be right on top of the work, supporting the airbrush with my finger, my thumb over here. Gives you that kind of extra control. As the blue dries, it'll start to blend in there a bit with the rest of it. Just to It's about using your best judgment, really, in your style and technique. I feel like I should bring some of the gray down here a little bit more, so we're just going to clean this out real quick. We're not even going to stop, going to watch the flow here. All right. Yes, we have a little bit of paint in there. Right. We'll go straight into the gray. Okay. All right, let's go. Test it. Now you're going to see when I spray through, I probably have residual in here, a little bit. Got the gray still mixed up. Pour a little bit in there. Whoops. Again, test, because we had water and thinner in there. Let's close the MAC valve again. Touch anything up here, now's the time. Again, you can see our yellow's still drying. Let's turn it over. Test one more time. I think I'm going to increase my air pressure just a tad and just very carefully remove any kind of residual. Very carefully do that. Okay. All right. That's what we've got. So what we can now do is we're going to clean the airbrush again. One last very quick time. I know you guys have seen us do this over and over and over again, but I want you just to see how that is just kind of a reminder, and just drill it home. We'll grab a fresh Q-tip. All right, just for good measure. But look, there's really nothing on there. Okay. It's clean. I'm gonna put the crown cap back on. You can spray with or without it. And, whoops, excuse me. We're gonna pull the trigger back. Just wipe it off. There we go. Good as new. Ready for your next session. So the last thing we're going to do in this demo real quick is we're going to do a very, very quick wash, but we are going to do some dedicated wash videos. But let's just do it to kind of finish this up. Be right there. Alrighty, so we've gone primer, base coat, and a couple other colors here, yellow, green, gray, so forth, to get us where we are. We did a little bit of masking and so forth. This has all been in real time. The actual paint process has been a total of, honestly, about 20-30 minutes, give or take. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna make a very quick wash. We will be doing a video dedicated to washes, but since we're here, we'll do a quickie. All right, to kind of tie it all together. So what we're gonna do is 1 ounce epoxy mixing cup, Mission Models thinner, okay, 30 drops. We know where the 30 drop mark is. When you make this and you count it out, you'll know. It's graduated, so it's about at the 1/8 inch mark or so. Okay, a little bit more. All right. Okay, so thinner. One of our favorite colors for doing washes is M&P 040 Tire Black. Another great one is Rail Tie Brown. But Tire Black is a very neutral color. It has a little bit of greens, little browns, little this and that, and it's a very hard to explain. It's got a little gray in it. So, all right, the way we do this is we say 30 drops of thinner, 6 drops of paint. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay? Swirl it up. Okay? Now, the next thing, water. Straight, same water, or just go over to your sink. It's a 1 ounce epoxy mixing cup. We're gonna fill this carefully so we don't splash on our model. I wouldn't usually do it here. To the 1/2 ounce mark. All right. And I think we're almost at the 1/2 ounce mark. All right. It's about a 1/2 ounce. Well, we got thinner, paint, water. Water fills the rest of the 1/2 ounce mark. Okay. Now what I'm going to do, since we've got some splashes and whatnot, I'm going to move this, and I'm going to start with a relatively clean surface. We don't have any clear coats on here, nothing. I like to use a liner brush. All right. Just carefully touch our panel lines. See that? My opinion, is much better. What some people call a slush wash, and covering the whole model and then cleaning it all back. This is acrylic on top of acrylic. It's all in real time. Turn it around because I want to start here. Touch it to the panel line. Flows just like an oil. See, no mess. Quick, easy. Just see it flow. going fast. Look at that. See that flow? Now you see how the whole model is starting to kind of pop? And again, it's a little bit awkward because of my position here, but we're doing it. Just wipe it back. And clean up any overflow. Another thing I like to do is I'll take a cotton swab here sometimes, right? Or a lot of times I'll steady my hand. No cleanup is required. Quick, efficient, easy. If you already use Mission Models paints, you have all your washes at your fingertips. So I'll take one of these and I've just soaked up any excess. Let's move along. Pick up a little bit more. Hard to see in here on the camera, but it's acrylic on acrylic. Another thing you can do if you want to is you can clear coat this with our semi-gloss, let that dry, then you can do your washes over that and protect your paint, and then you can take micro mesh at about, I don't know, maybe like 8,000 grit, 3,600 grit, right? Once everything's said and done, and you can just lightly wet sand over all your panel lines and clean up any excess that you might not be happy with. We didn't clear coat anything here, so we're not gonna wet sand it yet. And honestly, a lot of this is just dry to the touch, so it's not 100% scientifically and chemically cured yet. See that flow? A little excess. Just wipe that away. No enamels, no lacquers, no toxins, no smells. This wash is purely Mission Models thinner, 6 drops of paint, and then water straight from the tap to the halfway mark in your epoxy mixing cup. We can really start going crazy. See that? Quick, easy, efficient, family friendly. Just apply as needed. You can make them as dark, your washes as dark as you want. I love liner brushes. Gives you so much more control. Your work, less cleanup. You don't have to wipe everything back with enamels or, thinners, and whatnot. So you see we got a little excess in there. Let's see if we can't get rid of a little bit of that. See? Very quick. Look at that. That's what makes modeling fun. We take the struggle away. Make it easy for you. Just keep kind of touching things. All your little details. You never want to use straight black. You want to use neutral colors. See, flowing right down that panel line. Just wipe it away. lifting any of the paint. So we have a little bit of this here. I just put a little water on the end here. Lightly remove it. Just wipe it away. See that? Just wiping away any excess. Not even lifting the paint. Look at that. Just clean that up right there. See, we've got some excess down here underneath. All right. And I'm gonna, off the camera, I just put a little water on the end of this swab with a nice gentle touch, okay? Just light. Start to remove that. Clean, 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 clean. Look at that. Right? So, in other words, if you were to put a semi-gloss, not gloss, but semi-gloss over the whole model, then do your washes, then you could go in and you could, once the semi-gloss is dry, you do your washes, and you can go in and just lightly wet sand it away with the 3600 grit, 6000, 8000, 4000, micro mesh, and you're just basically cleaning up any excess without removing anything from the panel lines. We could also start doing streaking, right? Let's use, actually, see what happens if I know what's going to happen, but just saying, let's do a little bit on this yellow. Not much in the way of panel lines there, but well, there's a little bit. They're a little shallow. Okay. Just wiped it away at the back of my pinky. Want to be careful since we don't have a barrier coat, and I don't really want to stain the yellow per se. That can all happen later. Alright. When you do the wipe away, if you have, residual paint or wash on the tip, as you wipe it away, you might spread things elsewhere. So basically, that's a quick introduction to washes. See how concentrated it is, and you might have to just adjust, as needed. But that's our basic starting point. 30 drops of paint. 6 drops, no, I'm sorry. Let me start that over, I take it back. 30 drops of thinner. 6 drops of paint. And water, again to the halfway mark, in a 1 ounce epoxy mixing cup. The more you do this, the easier it is. It's easy from the get-go, but it'll quickly become second nature. There's no need to buy additional products, enamel products, lacquer products, pre-made washes. It's already here for you. We've got it. You've got it. It's on your bench. You've got it. It's that quick, that easy. I can just kind of wipe things away. Got a little water on there. Voila. There's our half a fuselage. I hope you guys enjoyed this. It's all about having fun. Model building is problem solving. Nothing will do it for you, but we're here to help you, guide you along, help you think outside the box, stay within the mission model system, don't stray, and just keep practicing, keep painting. It's about having a good time. And we've got a lot more videos, to come. We'll show you some great tips, techniques, tricks, whatever. All right, guys, that's it. Have a good time. Bye.